Hey there, what's going on? Happy Thursday. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report, and we're live right here on Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr., and no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day on this Thursday, December 9th, 2024. My right-hand man, producer Chip, flanking me to my right, and we have the faithful rocking and rolling with us from every pocket of America and worldwide. And here's what's coming up on today's 49ers Report Rundown. Big decisions await for this organization. So we're going to play a little game in segment number one, stay or go, for some of the marquee Niners free agents coming up in the 2025 offseason. And we'll take a look at the full list of players on this team who are set to be free agents. We have some important roster news to get to pertaining to Trent Williams and Isaac Guerendo, what Colin Cowherd said in an interview with Julian Edelman about Brock Purdy, and we will round out today's show with a mailbag. So get involved, get your questions asked so that we can chop it up and hang out. You could start doing that right now by using the hashtag 49ers or by sending in a super chat. I want to start off with this. Where is your confidence meter? This is also the poll question in the chat. Will the 49ers beat the Miami Dolphins on Sunday? Type W for win, L for lose. Where are the people right now? Let me know down in the comment section. John Wallace, I want you to email me, by the way, because you've been such a great sport and supporter of everything that we do here on this show. I want to send you a 49ers Report hat. John Wallace, by the way, is sending a W into the chat. Full send, my man. Ernesto Ojeda, Brian King, typing those W's. Matthew Gilliam thinks the Niners will lose this game. Ralph Lauren, see you 7 minutes late. Hey, we're busy people. We got a lot going on, and I don't think anybody really starts a stream on time. Treasure Kisses, type in dub. It's been a little while. We have Cryox with a W. William Bradley, confident in a Niners victory. Warren Pitts, Frank the Tank. Good stuff right there. John Wallace, hey, Chase, I guess you're tripping and seeing my crying overnighters, man. I'm just a faithful since 1977, brother. I appreciate that. I sure will. We want to send you that Niners Report hat. Here's our Super Chat menu, by the way, for today's show. We always like to have some fun, so let's go. All Super Chats will get a shout out. If we get a $50 Super Chat, I have to crack a beer. Check that. If we get $50 total, I have to crack a beer. If we get $100 total, myself and Chip, we will sing a Christmas carol. $150 total, I have to do a helmet beer bong. And if we get $200 in total super chats, I'll do a beer boot. If anybody right now wants to send in 100, we'll bring one of the new hires on here, and they'll have to drink a beer. Let's go. It's Thirsty Thursday. If you can't send in a super chat, all good. At the end of the day, there are several ways to support the show for free. And we ask you to do this anytime you watch the program. Hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. Subscribe, comment, and share your thoughts. Share this video on social media. And when you do all that, you are a real one. Two sponsors making our live show possible today. The first one is Game Time. Holiday season is coming up. If you want to get something special for somebody who you care about, how about a pair of tickets to a concert, comedy show, theater event, or a sporting event? Get the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. If you want to go to Niners Dolphins this weekend, you're in Florida, or you want to make a last-minute trip before Christmas, plenty of tickets available for this game on Sunday in Week 16. Download the app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS. Terms apply, first purchase only, for $20 off. Our other sponsor, Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Right now, when you play $5, you get $50 instantly. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. And right now, you can win up to 200 times your cash. So run your game with Prize Picks, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get started here today. John Wallace getting us going with the $20 super chat. You love to see it. Shane Muir saying, hey, Chase from Australia, go Niners, as we always know on this show. I love my Aussies. Pops grew up in Melbourne. Still have some family there. Really would love to get there at some point. in 2025 and just fly there direct. So Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Shane, thanks for tuning into the show from Australia. How cool is that? And then you see Mr. Cool, John Wallace, $20. I can get it started. Hey, Chase, why do you think that the goalposts move so badly with Brock Purdy, yet these other first-round quarterbacks and stuff, they get all kinds of love? I think it is a case of draftism, John. If Brock Purdy were drafted in the first round, people would view him in a different light. He's also struggled a little bit this year, but any quarterback who would have to deal with so many moving parts around him, oftentimes that quarterback will struggle. And we'll talk a lot about Brock Purdy throughout the day here. Johnny Dubs, that's a dub. Thank you for that $20 super chat. Where are you watching from, by the way? We are emanating live from Studio H in the Chat Sports Studios, but where are you? Daniel Barry, Sports Highlights, saying yo. And then elsewhere, as part of the recent commenter club, Edward Willis, he's in Tennessee, another one of our OGs. Chris Clark, Daniel Barry, Jose Perez, Bill Brown, Michael Catanzaro, all watching the show. I see Tennessee, Durham, North Carolina, out of Oakland from John, Reno, Nevada from Crack, Tucson, Arizona from Ernesto, Bill Brown, Jacksonville, Florida, Brian King, BK from the Bay. Did you change the username in the profile picture? Is that Kiss on there? Oh, geez. Tacoma, Washington from Ken. San Diego from Rico. Old Greenwich from Michael. Branson from Trace. Lathrop from Trapped. Branson, Missouri once again. Kenosha, Wisconsin. All right, Kenosha. Wasn't there a documentary about the crime incident in Kenosha? I'm pretty sure that was a thing, right? Anywho, it's on Netflix, I think. We will be doing a mailbag today. Get those questions in. Use the hashtag 49ers or send in a super chat. That's hashtag 49ers or send in a super chat. Was that Kyle Rittenhouse? Okay. I think I'm thinking about something else. So Kyle Rittenhouse was in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Okay. And then there was another one in Wisconsin. The documentary of the guy who I think was a tow truck driver or something like that. I kind of forget, but that also is really good. Anyway, get those questions in. Hashtag 49ers. Send in a super chat. And if you're ready to start the show, we are ready to start the show. San Francisco, 133 people kicking it, 41 likes. Be sure to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. The more likes that we get, the more people who find the stream. And when that happens, it's the more fun that we'll have here on this show. So we'll begin with some big decisions that await for this Niners team. Who will San Francisco bring back in NFL free agency? That'll be segment number 1. We have 4 segments to get to here on today's show. Can't wait to talk some Niners. We're up to 50 likes right now. Tell your friends that we're live and continue to like the video. And with that, let's get the show underway. Big decisions await for the San Francisco 49ers when you look ahead to the 2025 offseason. And who will the football team from Santa Clara bring back in NFL free agency? We're talking about that on today's 49ers Report by Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. And before we do all of that and accomplish a lot here on the rundown, hit that subscribe button for the best Niners offseason coverage. This could go down as the biggest, most pivotal, most important offseason in recent memory for this franchise, and I have you covered every step of the way. So join 152,600 people worldwide who have already hit that subscribe button, and be sure to lock us in right now. Let's begin with this because it really does set the foundation for today's show, and we'll take a look at the Niners 2025 free agents. Some players will be back, a lot will leave. Who should San Francisco retain? Who should they let walk? So cornerback Charvarius Ward, linebacker Dre Greenlaw, linebacker Devondre Stiff Campbell, offensive lineman John Feliciano, quarterback Joshua Dobbs, defensive tackle Kevin Givens, quarterback Brandon Allen, linebacker Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, cornerback Isaac Yiadom, left guard Aaron Banks, all free agents. You go to the next page of 8 after the first page of 10. This brings us to 18 total. Defensive tackle Kalia Davis, wide receiver Chris Conley, tight end Eric Saubert, cornerback Rock Ya-Sin, offensive lineman Ben Barch, linebacker Curtis Robinson, left tackle Jalen Moore, and safety Talanoa Hufanga. 3 more. So this will bring us to 21 total free agents for this Niners team. Running back Elijah Mitchell, tight end Jake Tonches, he's an exclusive rights free agent, and then Jordan Mason is a restricted free agent, which means another team can offer him a deal, but then the Niners can match that deal, and if they do that, he will be a Niner in 2025. As for the Niners cap space, right now, San Francisco has $50.5 million of cap room. That is number 1 among all 32 teams in the National Football League. Next year, that number is 65.8. That too is top 10 at number 8. Important to note, cap space can be rolled over year to year, so the 65.8 number could blossom and bloom a little bit, and then it could get even larger if the Niners decide to restructure contracts, cut players, trade players. Of course, there will be some dead money on this number, and that could balance some things out as well. I also think there are 4 veteran cut or trade candidates for the Niners who fit the billing if San Francisco wants to retool this roster a little bit. And that list includes wide receiver Deebo Samuel, having a career worst year in my opinion. He's declined here in 2024, and next year is the final year of his contract. Could you trade him away for a 4th-round pick? That would be ideal because his value is not the same as compared to even going into this past season. Javon Hargrave, the Niners restructured his deal, so pretty much he can be a post-June 1 designation, and that allows them to absorb that cap number a little bit more. Kyle Juszczyk is on this list. I like him as a player. He's the best fullback in football. He's going to go down as one of the best fullbacks of all time. I just don't think that you need to pay big-time dollars to a fullback in today's NFL. You can bring one in to serve a very similar purpose for pennies on the dollar compared to what Juszczyk is making, and the Niners going to be a little bit tight on the cap, especially after that Brock Purdy contract extension if they give that to him. And then George Odom, a special teams ace on a special teams unit that has underperformed over the last few years. And as far as players who I really think the Niners need to bring back, and big decisions loom pertaining to these 2 players to my right. That's Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga. These are 2 players over the last month I've been thinking, if I were the general manager, I think I need to re-sign number 57 and number 29. And in the first half of that game against the Los Angeles Rams, yes, the rain was coming down. That was a Rams team that previous Sunday had dropped 44 points. And a couple of days later at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, they couldn't do anything. They didn't pick up a first down until the 5th or 6th drive of the game. Talanoa Hufanga nearly had that interception of Matthew Stafford. If he didn't have that club on his hand, probably would have picked that ball off. And Dre Greenlaw had his fingerprints all over the game. He was everywhere. And in that first half, against an offense that has been clicking and humming, we saw what this Niners defense can get back to. And Hufanga and Greenlaw are very similar players. They're both very instinctual. They're both fearless. They are always around the football. They play with physicality, speed, confidence, and swagger. And they are 2 of the heartbeats, 2 of the engines of this Niners defense. And I think an important number to look at this year is turnover plus minus. You always want to be in the plus. Why? Winning teams are in the plus margin. But when you lose a turnover battle in the NFL, you lose games about 80% of the time. And this year, the Niners, for the entire season, are -4 in turnover plus minus. That's 21st in the NFL. The Bills, for instance, are +18, which is first in the NFL. And in 2023, the Niners were 14 turnovers different in the plus minus last year when they made it to the Super Bowl as compared to this year when they're not going to make the playoffs. They were at +10, which was tied for 5th best in the NFL. And what do Greenlaw and Hufanga do? They generate manufacture turnovers, and with the way that they play, they pressure the opposing offense. The opposing offense feels that, and then they're more prone to turning the football over. And Drake Greenlaw in that first half against the Rams did this, according to Pro Football Focus. Had an overall PFF grade of 87.6. Absolutely elite. A run defense grade of 81.8. That too, elite per the numbers. And a coverage grade so good at 74.2. He was making plays against the run. He was making plays against the pass. Range. He was nasty. When he would make a play, he'd go face-to-face with Fred Warner, just two dogs going after it, trying to take the soul of the opposition. And in 30 minutes of play, on 30 snaps, he had 8 tackles. As for Talanoa Hufanga this year, overall PFF grade of 62.6. That's bordering on the green. It's not bad, but a run defense grade of 78.8. What have the Niners struggled to do the last couple of years? Stop the run. Hufanga's a great run stuffer. A coverage grade, 53.8. I think he's a little bit better than what the numbers indicate. That's never his strength. But he makes up for that with his knack for making big plays, manufacturing, generating turnovers, and being all around the football. And that's only coming on 88 coverage snaps. He was a first-team All-Pro back in 2022 for a reason, but he hasn't played a lot the last 2 years. And so, because of Hufanga's injury history, because of Greenlaw's injury history, can the Niners bring them back on short-term deals? That would be ideal. And here's what Kyle Shanahan had to say on Wednesday, December 18th, about Greenlaw and Hufanga. He wants these two players to come back. He said Greenlaw and Hufanga are two of the better players I've been around, and two of the better players on our team, and two of the main reasons we've had the success here that we've had. So hopefully we can do everything we can to keep them here, because they are as much examples of Niners as anyone I can think of. That's pretty telling from the head coach. This is also pretty telling from Dre Greenlaw's teammates. He comes back for one half before going out. And by the way, he's expected to play against Miami. And here's what his teammates say about him. Now, of course, these teammates have played with him throughout his career so far, but George Kittle on Greenlaw, he's an absolute unicorn of a football player. Some of the highest praise that you can get from a potential Hall of Fame tight end. Nick Bosa, he's my favorite teammate to ever play with. He's an absolute dog, and he was showing it. And then his running mate, Fred Warner, a freak of nature. Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and George Kittle are potential future Hall of Famers. They are some of the best players on this Niners team. They're captains. And they're saying all of that about Dre Greenlaw, that's telling a story. That is significant, and they are building blocks for your football team. So today's poll question is this: do you want to see Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw back? Let your voices be heard down in the comment section. Treat it like a sports talk radio call-in line. It's pretty much that, but the YouTube version. B for back, W for walk. Coming up next, we're going to play stay or go on some marquee free agents on this Niners team. I showed you the list of 21 players. We'll go through some of the more well-known commodities on that list coming up here just around the corner. Before we do that, holiday season is coming up. Christmas, less than a week. Hanukkah starts on Christmas Day. If you're looking for a great gift to buy somebody, how about tickets to a Niners game, a different sporting event, or a concert, comedy show, or theater event? Thanks to Game Time Picks, they make curation so easy. Instead of having to go through thousands of tickets, they give you the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. They have flash deals. They have zone deals. Brock Purdy would carve that up. And you can access tickets from your phone. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. What's also cool, if you can't end up going, you can easily resell tickets on your phone as well. There's the Game Time lowest price guaranteed, where if you find a lower price elsewhere, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. That link is dangling in the show notes, and it's attached to the pinned comment of today's Niners Report. So Charvarius Ward is one of the marquee free agents for this Niners team moving forward, and last year he was a second-team All-Pro. Stay or go for him? I'm going to say go. Not because I don't like the player. I understand this year he hasn't played all that well. That's in large part to him dealing with an awful family tragedy. He even admitted it's been the most difficult stretch of his life as he lost his 1-year-old daughter tragically. But if we're just talking from a financial standpoint, Niners roster getting a little bit older. It's getting a little bit more expensive. And look at what the Niners' actions showed us. They drafted Renardo Green in the second round. He is playing really well at outside corner and has had a really solid rookie year. He looks to be a player. What did the Niners also do? They signed Deommodore Lenoir to a 4-year, $88 million contract extension. So they paid Lenoir. I don't think they're going to pay Charvarius Ward, who, by the way, is 28 years old, and he's starting to get a little bit older, and I think the Niners are going to draft another corner. They're going to try to develop a Darrell Luter type, sign a few cheap corners in free agency, and that's the route that they'll go. So Charvarius Mooney Ward, he has played awesome for San Francisco. He has exceeded his contract with the Niners, but because they paid Deommodore Lenoir, to me, that signaled the end of Ward's tenure with the Niners. Very good player, and here's the thing. He's going to get $15+ million from another team. Niners will not pay that. As for Aaron Banks, I think that he should go. Aaron Banks, in a contract year, has not been good enough. He has not been consistent enough. He has been way too up and down. And against some really solid defensive linemen along the interior, he just isn't able to hold up. And he's had some good moments throughout his Niners career, but this year I've been very disappointed by him. And I think that you can draft a left guard, just like the Niners did with right guard Dominic Puni, third round, who can be a plug-and-play starter, and you can get a really quality player for cheaper than what Banks will get paid in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, even seventh round, because there are always really solid interior offensive linemen who you can find in that range. Or could the Niners save some coin and go a cheap route and bring back Ben Bartch, who against Green Bay and against Buffalo, I thought he played really good football. He really impressed me on tape. Check that. It was against Buffalo, and then the following week, he got injured against Chicago. Either way, Ben Bartch is a player who played very well against the likes of Gabe Davis, who's a really good defensive tackle for the Buffalo Bills, held up very well. And he has guard and center flexibility, some good movement, some good athleticism, does have some experience, and he's not going to cost all that much money. So for Ben Bartch, from a football and financial standpoint, I say stay. Jalen Moore, stay, but I'm not sure the Niners are going to be able to retain him because he's played so well in the place of Trent Williams, where because teams across the NFL are so starved for left tackles, either starting or swing tackles as backups, he might get paid. Chase, what are you talking about? He hasn't been good since being drafted out of Western Michigan in the 5th round in 2021. This year he's been awesome. He's really developed under the watchful eye of Trent Williams. And this year, 136 pass blocking snaps. He's given up 8 pressures. He's given up no sacks, tied for first among tackles at his position. And with teams desperate for some offensive tackle help, he could get a bag. As for Elijah Mitchell, popular name among Niner fans, had a really solid rookie year, helping the Niners overcome that 3-5 start in 2021. He played good ball. Looked as though he was going to be a player. Cannot stay healthy. And you have an opportunity to bring back Jordan Mason, who we'll talk about next. You have Isaac Guerrero. Christian McCaffrey's under contract. Maybe you draft another back who's more durable than this. Can't make the club from the tub, and Elijah Mitchell's been in the tub every single year he's been in the NFL. And then Jordan Mason, stay or go. So he is going to be a restricted free agent. There is a team out there who could overpay for Jordan Mason. If they need a running back, they're looking at him as the next coming of Marshawn Lynch. He has that brute force and physicality to his game. He will run through you and over you and not look back as he takes it to the crib. Very fun player to watch. And if the Niners believe that Christian McCaffrey can come back off the knee injury on top of the bilateral Achilles tendonitis. If a team offers Jordan Mason, let's say $7 to $10 million, you have Garendo, you have Christian McCaffrey, you draft another running back. Do you afford to bring a player like that back if another team offers him a lot? Now, the Niners tried to do this past offseason with Brock Wright, the backup tight end for the Detroit Lions, who is a number 2 behind Sam Laporta. The Lions matched that deal. And because they matched it, they brought him back. The Niners lost out on that player. That's how it works out. But I like Jordan Mason. I think that he should get some more run. He should be more a part of this rotation. The Niners, I've been beating this drum, have to manage the workload for Christian McCaffrey. So my ruling on Jordan Mason, stay. Big offseason ahead. I can't wait for it. And I was talking with some people in the office. I started covering this team in 2021, NFC title game. 2022, NFC title game. 2023, Super Bowl. It's weird that the Niners are not going to make the playoffs this year, and there's not going to be a deep playoff run. I miss that. I'm fiending for some of those crazy watch parties and to cover a playoff run. I'm also really excited to break down the decisions, make some predictions, and talk about how this team retools, if it rebuilds, how it resets this upcoming offseason. So if you're with me, type me, because it's a massive offseason coming up. All right. I was getting going there at the end of the segment. 230 people watching live. We're 16 likes away from 100. We should be able to get there in 10 seconds. So hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. And here's our Super Chat menu. All Super Chats get a shout out, just like John Wallace's. If we get to 50 total, I get to crack a beer. 100 total, we're going to sing a Christmas carol. 150 total, I will do a beer bong out of the Toby Willis helmet. If we get 200 total, we're doing a beer boot. And if we get $100 right now, I'll bring in a new person, and they have to shotgun a beer. Let's go. Shoot, you send in 100, I'll shotgun a beer as well. Can't be scared out here. We will be doing a mailbag segment number 4. Get those questions in. Hashtag 49ers or send in a super chat. I see Mo Jones, Cracks, Joji, John Wallace, Ernesto, Elijah, Acuna, Carlos, all typing me. They're looking forward to this free agency period.
Let's get it, baby. Let's get those questions in. Just a few wins so far. It's early, but never too early to get those questions in. Shout out to Trace Lucero. Shout out to Chua Lore, getting a couple questions in. Hashtag 49ers. You had something to ask. I know you got a question because this offseason is about to be crazy, as we've been talking about. So,
no doubt. 7 likes away from 100. Let's get there right now. If you're rocking with us, enjoying the show, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. All right, coming up next, we have some important Niners roster moves. And I'm going to explain how the Niners need to figure this out in the final 3 games of the regular season. Let's dive in right now. Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers Report, Chase Sr. hanging out here with you. We have some important Niners roster news. And also, in the final 3 games of the year, Kyle Shanahan and the Niners need to figure this out. Stay tuned for all of that. It's a loaded show. But I do want to give you a programming alert and a reminder. Join us for our Niners-Dolphins watch party coming up on Sunday. We'll be live right here on the channel, the best place to experience a Niners game day outside of being at the actual game. We'll do a pregame show live during the game, postgame show after the game, super chat giveaways, a whole lot of fun, and we hope to see you there, so hit that sub button. Is Trent Williams out for the season? It looks like that could be the case for the star left tackle. Kyle Shanahan hinted this week we might not see him again this year. Where this all started, and he's had a bevy of ankle issues over the last few years. He's so big and nimble, and sometimes those ankle injuries creep up on him. He suffered an ankle injury this year against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that Week 10 thriller when Jake Moody missed those 3 field goals and then redeemed himself at the buzzer for that huge win at the time. And then Trent Williams received a pain injection to play the following week against Seattle. We know what happened in that game. Niners blow a lead. They're up with under 2 minutes to go. Geno Smith leads that game-winning drive, runs it in for the score, and that was really what signaled the end of the Niners 2024 season. And Trent Williams since then has not played, and he has been seen non-weight bearing, not putting any weight on that ankle, riding around with the scooter. During the game on Thursday night against the Rams, he wasn't the Trent Williams that they showed on the sideline. They got that mistake on the Amazon broadcast. He was, though, in a box with his foot elevated. This is an injury that just has not gotten better. And this has been a disastrous season all around for San Francisco, with everything going against them. All of these injuries, blowing these games. It's truly been a dark cloud type of year and a Super Bowl hangover. Same can be said for Trent Williams. He held out, was not at training camp, didn't play in the preseason, didn't play until week 1, and has suffered injuries all year, got paid, obviously, after that holdout, and then suffers another ankle injury. And on a personal note, just awful circumstances. Lost twin boys. One was stillborn, one was lost during pregnancy. Just awful. So our thoughts and prayers for Trent Williams and some positive health vibes for him. I hope that he's able to get back on the field and healthy. When he was on the field and healthy, I know that some people have said he didn't deserve that contract. He wasn't playing well. He was playing well. He was a top 10 offensive tackle in the game. And at his age, in his latter 30s, it's impressive what he's doing. Overall Pro Football Focus grade of 85.6. That was 7th among all offensive tackles. A pass blocking grade of 84.5. That ranked 8th. Run blocking grade of 81.4. 10th. 1 sack allowed and only gave up 3 hits of Brock Purdy. 17 pressures, a little bit higher than what you would want, but everybody along that offensive line, outside of really Dominic Pooney, has had a down year, or at least an up and down year this year. Even Colton McKivitz has actually played well at times, but he's had his bad moments. The good news is, with Trent Williams being out, we are seeing a developmental story transpire and take place. Jalen Moore has stepped in, and he has played extremely well in Trent Williams' absence. He has put together an overall Pro Football Focus grade of 77.9. That's 17th at the position. Pass blocking grade of 78.5. That's 24th. Run blocking grade of 71.3. Here's the thing. He has not committed a penalty. That's first among offensive tackles. He has not surrendered a sack. That's first among offensive tackles. And he's only given up 8 pressures on 226 snaps. He is set to be an unrestricted free agent. Ideally, you'd want him to be back as a high-level backup for this team and a Trent Williams insurance policy. Unfortunately, because teams always are looking for offensive line help, and especially at that tackle spot with a right-handed thrower protecting the blind side, he might get paid in free agency. And before you say this, because I know a lot of you are saying it already in the comment section, Chase, move him over to right tackle. Have him take over for Colton McKivitz. This is a young player who's developing. He's not comfortable playing right tackle, unfortunately, and it's a bummer for the Niners. Otherwise, you could save at that position, have him play at right tackle, and I think that he would be better than McKivitz. Elsewhere here for some Niners roster movement and roster news, after losing running backs Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mason, and Elijah Mitchell to season-ending injuries, it now looks as if the 49ers will be without running back Isaac Rendo for Sunday's game against Miami. He's dealing with a hamstring injury, unlikely to play per source. That coming from ESPN's Adam Schefter. And this is also a shame because the end of the year with the Niners out of the playoff hunt is about youth player development. You want to see Rendo getting reps, especially given his inexperience. He started 1 college game at his career between Wisconsin and Louisville, and we've seen the flashes of him being maybe a special player. But when he's not able to get that time and these injuries resurface, it's a little bit of a problem. And I tweeted this out on my X page. You can give me a follow at Chase_Senior. Might be a better follow than Shefty. I'm just saying. That Rendo unlikely to play. And this was one of my big concerns, with Isaac Rendo in the pre-draft process. I was at the NFL Scouting Combine, scouted him, watched some of the tape. I watched him live run that 4.3 40-yard dash, and I said, wow, he did that at 6 feet, 225 pounds. That's impressive right there, but has a long history of hamstring issues. This happened in college. This happened earlier this year in training camp. Got past that, but still, in 2019, missed the first 8 games due to a hamstring injury, and then in 2020, missed the final 6 games, and now he's missing another game during his rookie year with that hamstring issue. Not sure if it's the same leg, it's the foot sprain, but either way, a little bit of a concern as you project forward. Because this is what he's capable of doing. You know, in 14 games this year, he's had only 73 carries, but he's made the most of it. 381 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an average yards per carry of 5.2. So with him out, and with Elijah Mitchell out, Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mason out, here are the running back options for the Niners in this game against Miami. Patrick Taylor elevates to RB1. He's more of a special teams player. Keyshawn Vaughn, RB2, Israel Abanikanda, who is an intriguing player with 4.3 speed. He had a really solid season his final year at Pitt in 2022, where he rushed for 20 touchdowns and more than 100 yards in like 9 of 11 games. He got waived by the Jets, picked up by the Niners. He could be a part of this rotation. And then Deebo Samuel expected to get some carries as well. He's gotten carries all year, even though he's averaging a career low, less than 3 yards per pop, and the play is predictable. It doesn't work anymore. Who you got in this game? Type SF for the Niners or MIA for the Miami Dolphins. And if you type MIA, you're not talking about Deebo Samuel. It's about the prediction for this game. Coming up next, the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan have to figure this out. Stay tuned for that conversation coming up just around the corner. But I want to tell you about our friends at Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy sports app in the game and the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 200 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. And you can make your holidays bigger and brighter with Prize Picks. Because right now, when you play $5, you get $50 instantly. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Thursday Night Football, great matchup with a lot of playoff implications in the AFC in that wild card race between the Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Chargers. Bo Nix, more than a half passing touchdown. Cortland Sutton, more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown. Justin Herbert, more than 234.5 passing yards against one of the top defenses in the NFL in Denver, which leads the league in sacks. And then Cameron Dicker the kicker, more than 1.5 field goals made. So pick more, pick less, run your game with Prize Picks. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Pick 2 or more players, choose more or less on their projected stats, and you can win up to 200 times your cash. To round out the show, there are 3 games left here in the 2024 season for the Niners and San Francisco and Kyle Shanahan. They need to figure this out. Can Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowing be featured wide receivers for this team in 2025 and beyond? If not, San Francisco might have to draft a wide receiver in April's draft. And the Niners need to figure this out because even if playing Pearsall and Cowing comes at the expense of Deebo Samuel getting benched or him not getting as many snaps, you have to do it for the big picture of this organization. You took Pearsall in round 1. Clearly you thought highly of the player. You took Jacob Cowing in round 4. You like the player, and we have seen flashes of them being NFL contributors or very solid NFL players potentially. But you can't figure that out if you don't give them some tick. And the game plan last week against the Rams was asinine. Deebo Samuel complained about touches. The Niners bent over backwards to make him happy and appease him. And in turn, San Francisco, they played in the past. They ended their season in doing that partially, and they didn't have foresight. They didn't look ahead. And it cost them that game, and it's costing them crucial developmental time for 2 rookies who you need to figure out if they can play and if they can contribute next year. Because if not, this draft has to be a home run for this organization as they reset this team a little bit and this roster. And Deebo in 2024, 43.8 receiving yards per game, career low. 1 touchdown. There are players who don't even play wide receiver There are quarterbacks and offensive linemen across the league and defensive players who have as many, if not more, touchdowns than Debo. And that's tied for a career low in touchdowns back in 2020. Debo only played 8 games. It's not good. His 13.2 yards per catch, third lowest. His 2.8 yards per carry, that is the lowest of his career. And he has 43 catches, which is the second lowest. And with Pearsall, how about the jet sweep, which went for 40 yards against the Dallas Cowboys? Patience, let the block set up, and was able to round the corner, run up the sideline. We saw some juice on that play. The touchdown catch against the Buccaneers for 45 yards on the crosser. He beat Antoine Winfield, one of the top safeties in the game, to the pylon. He had some giddy up there. So what Kyle Shanahan must do is simply target him. Get creative in finding ways to get him involved. The same can be said for Jacob Cowing. In the preseason, how about the little stutter go? Catching that long ball over the shoulder from Josh Dobbs. What have the Niners missed this year? Guys who can separate. Deep ball threats. Cowing has that to his game. The end around in the preseason. He had some speed to turn the corner. There was a little bubble screen in which he picked up 8-9 yards. That was impressive. And so it is the coach's job to find ways to get their playmakers involved. And if they're not getting open, find ways to allow them to make a play. Jet sweep, handoff, reverse, bubble screen. These are easy elementary level school things. And I know Kyle Shanahan thinks about it because we've seen it before. And so play Pearsall, play Cowing, and if you don't play Debo, it ain't making your offense worse. Shoot, it could make your offense better if you're not force-feeding him the football. Would you bench Debo for Pearsall and Cowing? Very interested to see what people say here. Type Y for yes or type N for no. As you do that, be sure to give me a follow on X, Instagram at Chase_Senior. Large following on social media covering the Niners. So if you want additional Niners content, catch me over there. Catch me outside. How about that? All right, Ernesto saying yes. Crack saying yes. Sonny D saying yes. Joji, play Israel Abanaconda. Yeah, solid player. I'm intrigued. He doesn't have like burst, but he has some like long speed. So that 4.3 speed, it's like steady speed. It's not like quick, oh my gosh, shot out of a cannon type of speed. It's more of that 100-yard dash speed where he might be trailing in that race, but then he pulls ahead at the end. John Wallace, catch me outside. So you know what it is. All right, was that segment 3? That was 2. Rico Carter, $20 super chat. What do you think our chances are of getting Robert Saleh back? Look, I'd make the call if I'm Kyle Shanahan, and if Robert Saleh wants to come back, I'm bringing him back. I'm not just bringing back Nick Sorensen for the sake of continuity and running it back and saying, oh, we gave him 1 year. It's not enough to judge him. Hire the better coach. Hire the elite defensive mind. Hire the guy who helped you get to the Super Bowl in 2019. The guy in New York whose defense was one of the best in the league. And since he got Cam, that defense has stunk. It's almost like he played a role in that defense being good with the same personnel. Here's our Super Chat menu. We're at $40 in Super Chats. Just got a 5 from Fernando Espinosa. And so we're at 45 right now. If we get the 50 total, I got to crack a beer. 100 total, we're singing a Christmas carol. 150 total, helmet beer bong. 200 total, beer boot. If we get a 100 right now, we'll bring in a new person, and they're going to have to do a freedom fall or a shotgun.
I want to see it. I want to see what the new people got. Want to see what they're made of. Fernando, just trying to get you to drink. 5 away. Thanks to Fernando. All right. Keep getting those questions in, baby. Hashtag 49ers.
Elijah Cunha, Niner fan for life. Ibon, all in the chat right now. We have one more segment, then we'll get to our mailbag. So continue to get those questions in. Hashtag 49ers or send in a super chat. John, let me check if I got your email here. Let me check. I did. Looks like it's the same address that you've had, right? Awesome. That's all I need, brother. Thank you for sending that.
Fernando, another
Fernando Espinosa, $5. Crack that beer. All right, let me send in a message here. Chua Lord, did you get my question? We'll see once we run that mailbag. We always see your questions. Chua? We'll get that super chat popped up.
Let's see, Chua. Yeah, we got yours. You were the first one to get a question in, actually, so there we go.
There you go, Chua. We got your question. Good stuff, bro. All right, so I sent out a message. Somebody's going to bring me a Miller Lite, and we'll crack that there for Fernando. Our super chat menu, 50 total. Boom, got to crack a beer. We're 50 away from a Christmas Carol. We're 100 away from a Helmet Beer Bong. And if we get to 200 total, we're doing a beer boot. What's up, man? Thank you. Appreciate that. For Fernando. Thank you to Justin for bringing in the Miller. Cheers.
Let's go, baby. A little thirsty Thursday.
Thirsty Thursday.
Now we got everybody asking. Musin, did you get my question? Let's see. If you used hashtag 49ers.
If you use the hashtag 49ers, then yes.
Yes, we gotcha. Oh, now we got a bunch coming in. All right.
Look at that. All right. Maybe we should just do that from now on. If people ask, hey, did you get my question? And then everybody just sends in questions. And then we have a lot of great questions. All right. Segment number 3 coming up live here on the Niners Report. 200 people hanging out. Continue to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and let's get into it. Hey there, welcome into the show. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report, and I'm Chase Sr. Coming up, what Colin Cowherd and Julian Edelman had to say about Brock Purdy. And what they had to say I thought was very interesting. And since we're talking about Cowherd and my name is Chase Sr., here's today's poll question. Have fun with it. Who is the better talk show host? CH for Colin? CS for Chase? Let us know down in the comment section. I can't wait to get flamed down in the comment section right now. Our sponsor for today's San Francisco 49ers Report is our friends at Game Time. Holiday season is coming up, and if you want the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed, prices drop as the event gets closer. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And what is better for a holiday gift than getting somebody some tickets to a Niners game, or a sporting event, or a concert, comedy show, theater event, and a whole lot more. And you know what's kind of a flex? You get somebody who you care about tickets, and then they ask you to go to the game. So you're spending money on their holiday gift, and then you get to enjoy it as well. That is a win-win. You make them happy, and then you get to be happy as well. The user experience here is awesome too, because I just love how you get the vantage point and the price point from your individual seats. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. They have flash deals and zone deals. Game Time Picks allows you to not have to go through thousands of tickets. They give you the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. And if you find a lower price elsewhere, Game Time will credit you up to 110% of the difference. So, on the show here today, I was watching and listening to The Herd on FS1, Fox Sports Radio, and Colin Cowherd, Julian Edelman. They were talking about Brock Purdy, the player, and the looming contract that he could get from the Niners. And the big question is, how much will he ask for and demand? How much will the Niners give him? And the number right now for top 10 quarterbacks in the league where Purdy is going to kind of be in that range, he's going to, according to my sources, going to be asking for a contract in that realm, is between $50 and $60 million. And so when they started talking about this, it piqued my interest. I opened up my ears. Here's what they had to say, and I have a lot of thoughts on it. First, Colin Cowherd on Purdy. I like Brock Purdy. You start talking about $50 million large, I don't like Brock Purdy. I'd go Sam Darnold at $40 million for 3 years over Brock at $55 million. Right now, when you look at the 14 playoff quarterbacks, if the season were to end today, 12 are first rounders. Jalen Hurts was a second rounder. Scouting matters. You fall to the 7th round for a reason. People like Purdy, but he was reckless at Iowa State. He was small. He struggles in wet weather. I can't pay him big money. Now, Purdy did fall to the 7th round for a reason. Doesn't have a cannon for an arm. He's smaller in stature. He was a little bit reckless at Iowa State, and he does struggle in some inclement weather. We have seen it throughout his career. Last year against Cleveland, in the NFC divisional round against Green Bay. This year, in some bad weather, he has struggled to throw the football. That happened against Buffalo, and it happened a couple of weeks later against the Rams on Thursday night. This is why hand size matters. This is why sometimes the NFL Combine testing numbers do matter. But let's run through it here. The $50 to $60 million per year number, that is the big question with Brock Purdy. When you watch him this year, are you sure if you're going to make that hefty investment that he is worth that price tag? If you watch Purdy this year, I don't know if you can be sure because his play has been inconsistent. At times, it's been very average. It's been up and down. Now, in 2022 and in 2023, he played at an elite level. The numbers certainly back that up, and we'll explore those numbers coming up here just around the corner. But in 2024, I'd give him about a B- grade. And yes, Sam Darnold has had one good year, but he's having that good year finally in a good environment. And so if you want to compare Darnold and Purdy, does Darnold have the stronger arm? Is he a bigger athlete? Can he drive the football in there with more velocity? Can he throw it in bad weather? Does he have mobility? For sure. But Purdy also has some strengths on Darnold, has more production over a larger sample size as far as better overall production outside of just 1 year. But the common theme here, it's almost like quarterbacks need a foundation. They need stability. They need support in order to grow and have success. We've seen that with Purdy in 2022 and 2023. Without it in 2024, he's really struggled throughout his entire career. Darnold has never had that. Now that he has it with Minnesota, he's finally finding that success. Back to the price tag here. Here's a list of the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks on an average annual value basis. Dak Prescott, number 1 at $60 million. Jordan Love at number 2, $55. He's tied with Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow. Tua Tagovailoa, he got paid this offseason, $53.1 million per year. Jared Goff got paid this offseason. He's at $53. Justin Herbert, $52.5. Lamar Jackson at $52. Jalen Hurts at $51, and Kyler Murray at $46.1. I have posed this question before, but when you look at this list, which quarterbacks would you take Purdy over? I think he's been better than Trevor Lawrence. He's better than Tua Tagovailoa. He's beaten Jared Goff in a head-to-head, and you can make the argument he might be better than Jared Goff. Is he better than Jalen Hurts? He's had some more passing success than Hurts at times, and I'd rather have Brock Purdy over Kyler Murray. And when you scout him, yeah, he did have so much experience at Iowa State. He was reckless then. He has been a solid decision maker at the NFL level. He does struggle in bad weather. Those are fair points from Colin Cowherd. And the decision making is really key for me because in 2022 and 2023, he kept the ball out of harm's way. This year, though, hasn't done that to the same level. And so if you're going to lack physical traits, you better be a surgeon as far as how you run the offense, with your accuracy, layering balls in there, with your decision-making like a Drew Brees. And in the past, Purdy has been that guy. This year, he's not. If he can flush the turnovers and get back to great decision-making, that helps make up for the lack of physical attributes. Here's what Julian Edelman said about Brock Purdy. If it's a contract starting with the 5 in there, it's going to be tough because of what Sam Darnold is doing in Minnesota. I remember going and talking about it in week 5 when they were going through a little bit of adversity. I said specifically, this year will determine if you are a $30 million quarterback or a $50 million quarterback. And through the whole year, it's looked like he's a $30 million quarterback, which is a great quarterback. He's a good football player, but we're seeing his limitations when guys aren't playing and when there's excuses. I know a lot of people will say, but Chase, the market. 4-2 in the playoffs. Last year, top 5 in MVP voting. He was top 5, top 10 in a lot of quarterback statistical categories. Let me throw this at you, though. At what point does a team say, screw the market? We paid Tua. He's not worth that. We paid Trevor Lawrence. He ain't worth that. Daniel Jones got $40 million per year. He's no longer on the New York Giants a couple of years after that. We're not paying quarterbacks that much money because it limits us with how we can build the rest of the team. And for the Niners, they might say that about Brock Purdy. And look, there is nothing wrong with being a quarterback who needs a good supporting cast. There's nothing wrong with the quarterback making $30 to $40 million per year. It's okay if you're not making $50 million in average annual value. And for the Niners, if they don't have to pay him $50 to $60, that's a huge win for the organization and something that you should celebrate. It's so funny when I'm talking on this show or taking clips from the show or putting out some thoughts on X or Instagram, and I'm saying, look, Purdy might have to play on an expiring deal. I'm not sure he's worth the max. People will be like, screw you, Chase. Yeah, he is. Purdy's our guy. Ideally, you don't want to pay your quarterback $50 to $60 million. Ideally, you pay him $30 to $40. Why? You can make the rest of your team better. And there are some exceptions here. Here are my alien quarterbacks. When I call them alien quarterbacks, regardless of the situation, they are going to make their teammates around them better. They are going to put up elite production. They can win regardless of their supporting cast. And they can overcome limitations with the rest of their team. Coaching, GM, injuries, roster, bad offensive line play, etc., etc. It doesn't matter if you have a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. They will be elite and MVP candidates regardless of what's happening around them. Then the next tier, quarterbacks who can carry you but do need some help. Joe Burrow is an incredible quarterback. But when you think about what Joe Burrow has done in his entire NFL career, he's put up insane numbers. But his win-loss record, he's 35-30-1. He made it to the Super Bowl. He's taken down Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, but he's 35-30-1 when he's had Jamar Chase and T. Higgins for a bulk of his career. He still can carry you, though, but he does need some help. The same can be said for Matthew Stafford and Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. And I do still put Aaron Rodgers in that tier. He started to play better of late. Look, he's a 40-plus-year-old quarterback coming off a torn Achilles with a coach who got fired. He had an awful OC. They're on their second OC. The Jets are a joke of an organization, but in his last 7 games, he's had a passer rating more than 100. And then I'm putting Jordan Love in that category because you watch Jordan Love, he makes some wow plays. And then the next tier, there are good quarterbacks who need help. There's Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, and Baker Mayfield. They will put up really good production, but when they don't have complementary pieces around them, they can struggle a little bit. Baker Mayfield wasn't the same quarterback when he didn't have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin for a stretch. Jalen Hurts, earlier this year against Tampa Bay, he was awful when the Eagles didn't have Lane Johnson, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith. Jared Goff, we saw the quarterback that he was with the Rams. Now he has the best play caller in the game in Ben Johnson. He has Amon-Ra St. Brown. He has Sam Laporta, 2 great running backs, although David Montgomery is now injured. Maybe the best offensive line in football. Now he's having a career year. If he didn't have that foundation around him, he wouldn't be doing what he's doing. And with Dak Prescott, a classic case of a quarterback where if you pay him big-time dollars and you lean on him too much to throw the football, and you're not complimentary as far as pass, run, and he has to do too much, that's why the Cowboys continue to lack big-time playoff-level success, because they're not good enough around Dak because they're paying him too much money. And that's the concern here with Brock Purdy. When Purdy gets help, we've seen him be elite. This year, when there's a lot of chaos, moving parts, and instability around him, that's when he's come back down to a mediocre level. But in 2023, when he had some good weapons around him, when Kyle Shanahan was in his bag, when the Niners defense was playing pretty well, he was number 1 in yards per attempt, number 1 in adjusted air yards per attempt, number 1 in true passer rating, number 1 in QBR, number 1 in deep ball catchable rate. People try to tell me he doesn't have a long ball. This year, has he struggled a little bit with it? Yeah, he struggled a little bit with it, but he still has that to his game. Look at what he did last year. Number 1 in EPA, number 2 in red zone completion rate, number 3 in passing touchdowns, number 4 in pressure completion rate, and number 5 in passing yards. The Niners made it to the Super Bowl with that. This year, so much chaos, moving parts, injuries. You had the Brandon Ayuk hold in. He's without his number 1. Trent Williams hold out. He's without the protector of his blind side. Christian McCaffrey was the Offensive Player of the Year. He, like Purdy, top 5 MVP voting. That hurts you in the run game, hurts you in the pass game. Deebo Samuel, declining, injured. George Kittle, in and out of the lineup. Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, they have missed some time. Defense hasn't been the same. Kyle Shanahan has had a down year. It's hard to succeed playing with backups, with all of that instability, and all of those things around you. And for this entire organization, it's been a down season. But still in 2024, here are some notable numbers. He's number 3 in yards per attempt at 8.4. He's number 3 in pressure completion rate, number 4 in air yards per attempt, number 5 in QBR, number 10 in air yards, and he's still number 13 in passing yards. It's not bad. So the big question of the offseason, the big question of the day, is Purdy worth $50 to $60 million per season? W for worth it, P for too pricey. Sound off, embrace the bait, shoot, and let me know. All right. $50 in supers. We got there. We cracked a beer. I'll give you another beer cheers for everybody who's hanging out. 232 people watching live. Glad that you're with us. Thanks for being with us on this Thursday, December 19th.
All right, we're going to have a mailbag coming up next. So this is your last chance. Use hashtag 49ers in your comment right now and ask a question with that. If you want to get a question in, it's your last chance. Or if you super chat, we'll answer your question to start the show, just like Johnny Dubs, just like Rico Carter did. Just like that, baby.
You heard it from Chip. Mailbag coming up.
Let's see. A lot of P's for too pricey for Brock Purdy.
Interesting. You know what's very interesting, too? On the community tab of the YouTube channel, we always post, like, photos and polls. I want to pop that up right now. By the way, Purdy did say today, kind of a good, like, self-assessment. He said, I got to get back to playing with a chip on my shoulder. Like, I've always got something to prove. I thought that was a pretty good self-analyzation, I guess is the right word. All right, so I posted 2 polls over the last couple of days. What would you rather the Niners do? Pay Purdy $50 to $60 million per year or pay Sam Darnold $30 million? 72% pay Purdy. But then the day before that, is Brock Purdy worth $50 to $60 mil per season? 52% no, 48% yes. And so is Purdy worth 50 to 60 mil? That got 12,000 votes. And what would you rather the Niners do? 8K votes. Like, that's the same amount of people and the same people who are voting on these 2 polls. It could just be an indictment on Sam Darnold and what they think of him. But I thought that was very interesting when I was going through those numbers a little bit earlier. All right. All right. $100 for singing a Christmas carol. We're 50 away. You want to hear the great talents of myself and Chip? We can sing. All right, mailbag coming up. Last call for your questions. If you send in a super chat, we will answer your questions first. Last segment of the show, then we'll dip out after that. All right, here we go. Hope everybody out there is having a fantastic weekend. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. And coming up, I always enjoy doing this, a mailbag. We open up the floor, take some questions from our Real One subscribers. You can also pass along some hot takes, some analysis. But when you have questions, I have answers, and we can spend some minutes together here during this week. Programming alert, by the way. Let's spend some more time together. Join myself and Chip for our Niners-Dolphins watch party. Show gets underway before the game on Sunday for this Week 16 tilt as Kyle Shanahan takes on his former protege and Mike McDaniel. This is a game that the Niners should win. They match up well against Miami, and we'll react to everything coming up on Sunday. Let's get started with this $20 super chat from John Wallace. I like what he says and asks here. I can get it started. Yeah, John, you're getting it started. What do you think, or why do you think the goalposts move so badly with Brock Purdy, but yet these other first-round quarterbacks, they get all kinds of love? So I've said this before, but I do think that it is a case of draftism, right? If Brock Purdy were drafted in the first round, a lot of people would react to him a lot differently as compared to him being Mr. Irrelevant, the final pick in the 7th round. Because people will use that as ammunition. He fell to the 7th round for a reason. This guy barely got drafted. He's small. He has a noodle arm. He's not that good. Kyle Shanahan and the supporting cast, they've lifted him up. He's nothing. But Tom Brady got drafted in the 6th round. He ended up proving everybody wrong. And alongside Joe Montana, those are two of the greatest quarterbacks in football and two of the best champions in football. It's not about where you get drafted. It's about how you play and what you do. And I think Brock Purdy in 2022 and 2023, he was elite. He put up truly magnificent numbers. This year, he struggled with so many moving pieces around him. And there's also this. When you have the SF on your helmet and you are a legendary franchise like the Niners, and you pretty much went from Joe Montana to Steve Young to Jeff Garcia, and you had a long run of successful football, and you won 5 rings, and you've had so much success, a lot of other fans are very jealous of you. And a lot of other fans will hate on you, and they don't want you to be legit. So, John, they will move the goalpost doing whatever they have to do so that they can make their argument justified or right. It's like the news media. I was a part of it. I used to be a television news reporter. They will shape their narrative, and they will form their agenda to back up what they want to believe and the message that they want to convey. Same can be said here for Brock Purdy. Rico Carter, $20 super chat. What do you think our chances are of getting Robert Saleh back? So I don't know the chances of it. I know Nick Bosa backed Nick Sorensen this week. He said that he wants Nick Sorensen back because he wants to have some continuity on the defensive side of the football. He pointed to Leonard Floyd and Yetur Gross-Matos as having good last few games to really turn the corner with their production. He's pointed to wanting Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga back again for some of that roster continuity. He also pointed to the fact that, the Niners have been terrible on third downs. They're 25th. They've been bad in the red zone. They rank 30th, but they've had play a lot of new players and young players, and that's led to scheme breakdowns. That's fine. If you have a chance to bring back Robert Saleh, Kyle Shanahan has to bring back Robert Saleh. Don't just bring Nick Sorensen back for the sake of continuity. And don't just bring Nick Sorensen back to say, well, it was a tough year for everybody. We think that he's gotten better and he's progressed and developed as a defensive coordinator. We think that he can be a good coach in 2024. Or in 2025. In 2025, it's going to be Super Bowl or bust for San Francisco. You can't take a chance on defensive coordinator. If Robert Saleh does not get a head coaching job, and Robert Saleh wants to return to the 49ers, you hire him as soon as you hang up that phone. Should you hire him when he's on that phone? Because you always hire the best candidate. You always hire the best man or woman for the job. You always hire the person who's the most talented with the most potential. You know what Robert Saleh can do. He was a great defensive coordinator with the Niners. That's why he got the head coaching job with the New York Jets. And when he was the coach of the Jets, the offense stunk. They couldn't get quarterback right. But the defense was always one of the top defenses in the National Football League. And since he got fired, that Jets defense, with the same personnel, I might add, has been terrible. And so if Kyle Shanahan reaches out to Robert Saleh and he wants to come back, you hire Robert Saleh. Because this defense has not been good enough this year. Bad on third downs, bad in the red zone, communication breakdowns, lack of player development, bad tackling, scheme confusion, lack of adjustments, blown second half and fourth quarter leads. That is all a sign of a bad defense. And we've seen it all this year. Ernesto Ojeda, who should the Niners turn towards for running back against the Dolphins on Sunday with Isaac Guerendo out? So Isaac Guerendo not playing in this game because of a hamstring issue. Going into that Rams game, he had a foot sprain, so he's been banged up, missed a lot of time in college because of injuries, especially to that hamstring. And here are the running back options for San Francisco. Patrick Taylor is going to start, I would imagine. Keyshawn Vaughn, RB2. Israel Abanikanda, RB3. And then Deebo Samuel will get some carries as well. So that's the running back depth chart for San Francisco going into this game. It's not ideal, and I expect Brock Purdy to air it out a lot. Who you got in this football game? SF for the Niners, MIA for the Miami Dolphins. Let us know who you're rocking with. And again, we'll be live for that game for a watch party. Let's get to our sponsor, then we'll get back to your questions. Today's 49ers Report, sponsored by our friends at Prize Picks, the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 200 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. You can make your holidays bigger and brighter with Prize Picks. Ho, 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 Merry Pixmas. It's the best place to get that real money sports action right now. When you play $5, you get $50 instantly. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. And if you join now, because holiday season, Prize Picks is giving away 2 free picks in December, you'll be on the receiving end of Merry Pixmas. And they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Pixmas. Some selections that we like for Thursday Night Football: Bo Nix, more than a half passing touchdown. Cortland Sutton, more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown. Justin Herbert, more than 234.5 passing yards. And then Cameron Dicker the kicker, more than 1.5 field goals made. Run your game with Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less, pick Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Back to your questions here. RSWE. Should the Niners trade Deebo Samuel? If you can trade Deebo Samuel, I would. I'm just not sure how much value the Niners are going to get back, considering he's having the worst year of his career and his numbers are down all across the board. It's also the eye test, right? Like, I know against Seattle, he reached 20 miles per hour on that touchdown throw from Brock Purdy. He ran in a straight line. It was his fastest speed since he was a rookie in 2019. On those kickoffs, he's looked fast when he's had to run vertical. Doesn't have the same lateral agility, burst, quickness, hasn't made guys miss, hasn't broken tackles, hasn't gained the yards of separation on some of these carries and end arounds, bubble screens. He hasn't been able to show that speed to kind of get the corner, turn it upfield. He hasn't run through guys like he's run through guys in years prior. And this year, career low in receiving yards per game, only has 1 touchdown this year. That's tied for his career low in 2020 when he only played 8 games. 13.2 yards per catch, that's 3rd lowest. 2.8 yards per carry, that is his lowest. 43 catches, 2nd lowest. And so, ideally, yeah, you do trade him. Now, a few years ago, after the 2021 All-Pro season, the Jets wanted to trade for him. They were offering a 1st-round pick. Prior to this year, Deebo talked about this, the Niners were shopping him. They were floating out the idea of trading him away. You could have gotten a 2nd-round pick. No longer going to be the case. So, I would reset the running back room. I would try to save some dollars. And I would replenish the cupboard a little bit as far as receiver talent goes. And it's always better to get rid of a player too early as compared to too late. It might already be too late. Joji, Chase Sr. Why does Kyle and John continue to ignore the offensive line deficiency in the draft? So they have talked about this publicly. Their team building strategy is drafting, paying, prioritizing players who score touchdowns instead of offensive linemen. I think what Jim Harbaugh said was awesome. He said every football team relies on the offensive line together to play well and the overall success of the offensive line. And we have seen in the biggest games against the most stout competition, the Niners get run through, with their offensive line. When they've gone up against good teams, when they've been in critical ball games, their offensive line has gotten moved, dominated, and bullied. And that affects the run game. It affects the pass game. It happened in the Super Bowl against Kansas City. It happened in the 2022 NFC title game against Philadelphia. It happened in the 2021 NFC title against the Rams. They got their asses handed to them in the trenches along the offensive line. And so you paid Trent Williams, you drafted Dominic Pooney in the 3rd round, you drafted Aaron Banks in the 2nd round. You need to get better at left guard. You need to get better at center. You need to get better at right tackle. And hopefully this year they do that. Isaac, hey Chase, I was at the Niners-Rams game and was hands up when I seen Campbell walk off. What was your reaction? I couldn't believe it. So we didn't know what happened during the game because they didn't talk about it during the game. After the game, though, there was this photo that was starting to circulate here that will pop up of Devondre Campbell walking off the field with a little bit of a smile on his face after he refused to go in the game. Devondre Campbell is a joke. Devondre Campbell is a fraud. Devondre Campbell is a stiff. Football is all about brotherhood. Football is all about team. Football is all about next man up. And these football players are sacrificing their minds, bodies. They're sacrificing their well-being, their health, their lives to play the game of football. And think about what's happened with this Niners team specifically this year. Charvarius Ward lost his 1-year-old daughter tragically. Trent Williams tragically lost twin boys. Ricky Pearsall got shot in the chest. Fred Warner has played on a broken ankle every game since he suffered that injury in week 4. Devondre Campbell was signed to be the Devondre Campbell experiment to take over for Dre Greenlaw, to be the Dre Greenlaw holdover plan. He knew that he was there until Dre Greenlaw came back. Then Dre Greenlaw comes back. He's the better player. Charvarius Ward called him the engine of the defense. And so the Niners go with the better player who you were brought in to replace until he was healthy. He gets healthy. You get butthurt by that. You pout and you refuse to go into the game. I mean, it got so bad that John Lynch went up to him on the sideline and said, get out of here. Niners suspended him the rest of the year, and they cleaned out his locker. It's crazy. And they handled it the right way because they're all about culture. Niner Mafia. Why is everyone wanting to go after Sam just because he's had one good year? Because he's played very well this year. He's a big athlete. He has a strong arm. He has draft pedigree. He was a top 3 pick for a reason. At his USC Pro Day, it was raining. He said, yeah, I still want to have my Pro Day. And he was chucking the football, letting it spin. And this year, he's played very well. Stronger arm, better deep ball than Brock Purdy this season. I still think Brock Purdy is the better option. I think Brock Purdy is the better quarterback. Brock Purdy has more of a sample size of playing better football. But there's also something to be said for Sam Darnold playing on the dysfunctional Jets, playing on the dysfunctional Carolina Panthers. Now he's with a great coach, run game, pass game, good defense. He's having success. It's almost like you need a good foundation and talent around you to perform at a high level, unless you're like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson, and those players don't grow on trees. Seattle Flights, last question. Since Kirk Cousins was benched, will the Niners go after him after Atlanta releases him? I don't think Atlanta's going to release him. Maybe they do. And they're going to have to eat that money. If the Niners go after Kirk Cousins, Atlanta has to eat all of that money, or at least a majority of it. They have to do what the Denver Broncos did. The Denver Broncos got rid of Russell Wilson. They cut him, Russ signed with Pittsburgh, and they are paying Russ like $35 million, if I'm not mistaken, to not play this year and to play for an AFC team that they're competing with to make it into the playoffs. They could play one another in the NFL playoffs. What drama that would be. And so Atlanta would have to eat that money. When he signed at the time, it was reported as a 2-year, $100 million guaranteed contract. And so 50 this year, 50 next year. Niners can't touch him unless the Falcons eat that money. And if the Niners bring him in, how about as a backup to Brock Purdy? Have a year to reset. Get healthy. Compete with Purdy. See if you can beat him out. And if you beat him out, you can start for us. If not, you're the backup, and if Purdy gets injured or he doesn't play well, we'll go to you. Pick a quarterback for 2025. Sam Darnold, Brock Purdy. Let us know down in the comment section. Join that conversation, and we appreciate you for tuning in as always.
It's good questions on that show. Look at y'all. Shout out to the real ones.
Good stuff, everybody. All right, so we're going to sign off. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We've been live here for, about an hour and 21 minutes, 4 segments, a lot of great content. Thanks for the OG Super Chatters and all of the OG viewers, and we hope to see you on Sunday for our Niners-Dolphins watch party. Have a great weekend. I'll be pushing out content all throughout the weekend. I'll be live with Larry Krueger tomorrow, 1:45 p.m. Eastern, 10:45 a.m. Pacific. A lot of great content to come from that show as well, and we'll see you live again on Sunday. For Chip, I'm Chase. For the faithful, we out. Peace.